This episode is sponsored by Space Cowboys. Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Board Game Geek podcast, where we geek out about board games, the mechanisms behind them, and the people who create them. I'm your host, Candice Harris, and I am super duper excited to be here today with the man, the myth, the legend behind Board Game Geek, Scott Alden, aka Aldie, who is a very special guest co-host for a very special episode because it's the 1-year anniversary of the Board Game Geek podcast. How's it going today, Aldie?
Oh, it's going great. Congratulations on 1 year of podcasting. How time
Thank you.
flies.
Yeah, I
It's
cannot
unreal.
believe how fast this year has gone by, too. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if I like that feeling. I mean, when we were younger, the year would take so long to get to the end of the year, and now it seems to come by way quicker every year. I'm not sure how that works. It's like a time warp for me.
It definitely.
Yeah, but anyway, congratulations. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
I'm glad to be back.
You're the first returning
I've listened
member.
I think I've listened to every episode. I think. I'm pretty sure I've listened to every
There's
episode.
going to be a quiz at the end.
A quiz, yeah, okay. Oh my!
But yeah, I was kind of well. First of all, what's new in your world? I know we catch up on Slack every once in a while, but
yeah, no, it's been pretty laid back, I have to say. Got back from the BGG cruise, and then we had COVID, unfortunately. So sort of been dealing with that in my life, and I feel like maybe it's not completely gone. Maybe lingering effects, which is unfortunate, but I'm feeling fine. It's just some things are not the same as they were. But all that aside, I mean, it's getting ready for BGG Con fall. I was going to say spring. It's the fall one. It's the one downtown Dallas. That's going to be coming up here in November. We got a nice package of games from the team at Gen Con, and we got to unpack all that, I should say, and like sort of like make sure everything was there, because the games got pretty heavily played at Gen Con. So we were kind of doing piece counts and like make sure all the pieces, like we had a lot of missing pieces, honestly. Like there was a big box of things we didn't know. The pieces were there, but we didn't know which games they went to. So we were like kind of trying to identify where the pieces went. So that was kind of fun.
I was just gonna say, sorry, that last day we were kind of packing up the boxes for the Hot Games Room library. We were walking around, and I think Eric won. He ended up finding like 10 pieces,
and they blend in. Those hotels have weird rugs on the floor, so they blend in. They're very camouflage stains, really, I think is what the point is. So you have to really like look hard and pick it. But anyway, I think we found homes for everything. There's a few generic pieces, like where does this cube go? It's like, well, you'll never figure that
right.
out. But we post the pictures on social media, and people, it's sort of like a game. Like we put a number and take a picture and say which game, because harvesting the wisdom of the crowds to find our missing pieces, where they go. And of course, there's always that person like, you should take better care of your games. And it's like, okay, yeah, thank you. We do try to take care of our games. But, there's always that person that's not quite,
right.
They don't get it. You know what I mean? But anyway, other than that, things chugging along. We had the meeting for the Essen trip next week. Everybody's going to Essen, so that should be fun. Or I guess it'll be after this. You'll be there. You'll be there when this podcast is going live.
Not quite. I'll be getting ready to fly to Amsterdam when this podcast drops.
We're still in the future, but only slightly. Not quite into Essen.
Exactly, but
We're SPIEL.
It's crazy. It's right around the corner. But yeah, I was just thinking about it. I was like, I can't believe it's been a year since we've, been doing this podcast. And I was just like thinking back to when I originally pitched it. I was like, oh, this is going to be like a 45-minute per episode. And then I was like, oh, maybe an hour. Never happened. It never happened.
What's the shortest it's been?
I think I looked it up.
Might have been our episode was probably the shortest.
No.
Like an hour.
It was
I
Lincoln, I think. I think Lincoln's episode where we talked about 2-player games, I think clocked in around like an hour and 12 minutes or so. So I think that was the shortest.
That's under 1.5 hours.
And then I think the two longest were the one I did with Ben, the 18XX episode, and I think also the one with John Gets Games, Jonathan Cox. That one was like 2 hours and 12 minutes. But yeah.
Well, you go where that's the cool thing about podcasting. There's no rules.
Yeah.
Like I remember speaking with Reiner Knizia. By the way, I don't think that podcast is available anymore. It's not really out there. But we did a 3-hour podcast with Reiner Knizia in the middle of the night. It was his time. And it was just, there's no rules. We just
that's cool.
recorded it all and put it all out. And he would basically, he's sort of chastising us. Like you should trim these down. And I'm like, well, why? Why should we trim it? I mean, I sort of was against it. I'm like, we might have some things that people would be interested in that we wouldn't cut out. Like if I do the edit cut, like I might be taking out things that other people are interested in. Anyway.
What was that?
Anyway, podcasting has obviously evolved.
What was that about? Like that, were you interviewing Reiner Knizia or was it?
Yeah, we were interviewing. Yeah, back in the day, the original Board Game Geek podcast, it's called Geek Speak for those people that remember. It was just an interview show. And this was before internet could do calls. And so I had a really expensive piece of gear that would hook to the phone and record on the computer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
And I spilled a glass of wine on it and blew it up.
For real?
5 minutes before the episode started with, gosh, who were we interviewing? I'm trying to remember who I called. And I said, I got on the phone with them and then, you connect all the gear up and then we drink wine and do the episode, which made it quite interesting, especially in a 3-hour podcast when you're drinking wine for 3 hours, kind of takes effect. And then the slurring kicks in a little bit. I think it was Jeremy Young of Uberplay. We called him and I hit the glass of wine and I saw it go right into the side of the computer. That was the machine, the hardware that recorded the phone line and wrecked it. Like I could hear it like through the headphones and I'm like, it's destroyed.
Oh, snap.
And, I was like, okay, episode over. That was like $1,000 phone switch thing.
Times have certainly changed.
Anyway, Mix Minus, I think it was called. Something like that.
Oh, well.
Anyway, so what's been your best, your memories of the year?
Lots of memories. Like, first of all, I'm happy that I feel like I've learned so much just from doing this. Now this is the 27th episode that I'm working on. But I mean, I think back to the first one when I don't even think we had, I had really put together the theme song and all the different music bits yet, before we recorded, that all kind of.
Yeah, I think we were hashing out.
Yeah, that all kind of came together. And then I'm thinking about that one episode. It was episode 5 with Steph where we were doing the holiday gift guide.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of days before Thanksgiving. And then after I went back, after we recorded, I listened back and I heard my mic was clipping. And I was like, oh. Oh,
yeah, it's the worst. Did you re-record?
No,
or did you just deal with it?
Yeah, we didn't really have time to do that. So, facepalm moment. But after that, since then, I've been using, we have this really nice LA610 compressor that we used to use when we were recording our band vocals and different instruments. Okay. So Matt set me up with that. So I should never clip again unless I do something drastically wrong. But I don't know. I love everything about my job as a media creator for Board Game Geek, but I definitely would say one of my favorite things is hosting this podcast. And, even though, it's I'm connecting.
I don't know if you've ever mentioned that to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
because I think I forget how the podcast came about. It was let's maybe do a podcast. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure. It was sort of like off the cuff, right?
Yeah. It was sort of an idea because, I had been co-hosting with Game Brain and I was like, we could use Board Game Geek could use something like this, but a little bit different. Yeah. And I just love like connecting with different people in the community and talking about board games with them. Yeah. And I learned so much from talking to all of the different people that I've talked to. I mean, I love that my mom listens to every episode and she'll text me comments about certain games that like she would have otherwise like never knew anything about because she's not a hardcore gamer. She likes playing Skippo and Pinochle. Yeah. And but I'm kind of like now she knows Cat in the Box.
You're opening her eyes. Yeah. Do you play when you go visit?
Oh yes.
Head back home?
Oh yeah. And we always like whenever we have a trip, either where my mom and my nephew are maybe coming out here, or Matt and I are going back to Philly, we start trash talking like months ahead. Like, oh, you better get ready because we're gonna whoop you. And
interesting.
But yeah, so that's been like a little unexpected joy from doing this. It's also cool because like I don't remember if we did it from the start, but I started posting blogs when we drop episodes on BGG. And so it's really cool. Like people will chime in, like, if we're talking about a certain type of game, people will chime in and say, oh, I like these games. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Cause like sometimes I've never heard of those games. And it just feels like, I'm connecting with the community more. And I don't know, that's fun and exciting to me. And then, like we were looking at location stats recently, and it's so wild and just like so heartwarming to see that there are people all around the world that are listening to this podcast. I just want to say like, thank you so much to every single listener out there. I mean, there is so much content to be consumed, like board game related or otherwise. And so I just appreciate anybody who takes the time to listen to any of our episodes that we put out and just continues to support us. Like that's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely helps it's like a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a one-way street. We're not just putting this stuff out into the ether and hoping for the best. I mean, we want to interact and get feedback and hear comments. Yeah. That's always fun.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you. So I'll say thank you too to everybody who's listened. I mean, we've been growing, and I think it's been pretty exciting to see the growth. And it basically started at zero, right?
Right.
it had nothing to grow. I mean, the original Board Game Geek podcast, Geek Speak, had been gone for it stopped in 2006. That was or 7, something like that.
That's wild.
So it's been 8? What is that? Do some math.
Yeah.
So it started it was 15 years since the last podcast from Board Game Geek. So yeah.
And you had the brilliant idea of, because I remember I was like, oh yeah, we'll launch the podcast right after I get back from Essen, and then we could talk about Essen stuff. And you were like, I think we should do it before. And it was so great doing it before because when I got to Essen, there were just like a bunch of different people coming up and saying hi and like, oh, we love the podcast and stuff, and that was really cool. That was really cool.
Yeah, I think I think that was maybe me pushing it to be released. I'm like, can we still get it done before we go?
Yeah, no, it was definitely you. But
it was you had to do the work. Yeah. I mean, I know it's like.
But I'm glad like of the timing of when we launched it, and then like kind of looking ahead to the upcoming year. I mean, I have a long list of like guest co-hosts that I'm excited about. I still have so many topics, like some from my original brainstorming list. And almost every time I record an episode, I get an idea of another topic. So I'm just like, I have this like growing list of.
That's the cool thing about board games. There's kind of an unlimited number of topics.
Yes.
The rabbit hole goes deep, as I always say.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's all really exciting. And I'm definitely looking forward to future episodes and everything. And also, I'm also looking forward to Spiel.
Yes, Spiel. Did I tell? I feel like I told you that story about
story last year.
The border guard. Yeah. Spiel.
Exactly. So, with Essen around the corner, we're going to discuss the Spiel 2023 releases that we're most excited about. And now this is like, since this is the second year we're doing this is officially a tradition with Aldie and I here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it every year now.
And we were looking back at our picks from last year, and it's kind of interesting. Like, how many of the games that you picked last year did you actually get to play, and did they meet your expectations?
Yeah, I'm looking at the list right now. I played 3 of the 5.
Which ones?
I played Findorf, which was my number 1. I played Challengers, which was my number 2. The Deal with the Devil, I didn't get to play. I didn't ever get that going. I'm not sure why. I played Beast, number 4, and I did not play Rise and Fall for some reason. I don't know what happened, but I think I forgot to grab it out of the library, and then they said they were going to send one to me, and then I backed it on a Kickstarter or the Game Found, and I still didn't get the box. So I'm like, there's something got mixed in the wires there, so I need to get that one back.
Yeah, because I know like Rise and Fall wasn't officially released at Spiel last year. Like they had it for demo, but I thought it was coming at some point this year.
Yeah, and I think we got a copy in the library, and I actually got, I got contacted by someone at the company, the Ludichelli, and they said they're going to send me one, and I was like, okay, cool, here's my address, and then I never got it, and then I backed it in crowdfunding, and then I think I still haven't gotten it yet, so I'm not sure what happened there. So if you're listening, Ludichelli, I'm still wanting to play the game. Just FYI, you don't need to get it to me. I will take care of it. I'll figure it out. I'm pretty sure we have the copy in the library.
How was Beast?
Beast was cool. I was the Beast. I think it wasn't as cool for my game group, though. I really enjoyed it. Them, not so much.
That's a bummer.
Not sure why. It sort of it felt a little slow for a hidden movement game, like too much time to take. It took a long time to play. And sort of, I enjoyed it, but I don't think they did. So we don't usually go back to games if someone doesn't enjoy.
Yeah.
But
because you have a different situation with having your same game group that you play with every week.
Yeah, it's always usually the same 4 guys. So like if one of them, in fact, I don't even know if we finished it. I hate to say that because I don't like to judge a game not finishing it. But when someone's not really having fun and there was, I think you play 3 nights, and I think we played 2 of the nights.
Gotcha.
And we just didn't do the third because it was one of the guys was just like,
Well, I'd be down to try it at BGG Con or something if you want to.
I might come back to it. We might have to come back to it because I feel like we're in the minority. People seem to really like that game. Challengers, however, I really love.
Cool.
And Findorf, I really loved. So those 2 were great.
Awesome. Yeah. I played everything. So I had War of the Ring, the card game, 1880 China, Deal with the Devil, Undaunted Stalingrad, and Great Western Trail Argentina. So I've actually played them all a couple times, actually.
Oh, cool. I really liked War of the Ring.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that was quite good for me.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I want to play that one more.
I think that's the only one of your 5 I played.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Deal with the Devil was cool. That's one that I've been wanting to kind of get back to because I always was playing it with new people. I think I ended up playing about 3 times so far.
And it kind of has a bit of a learning curve.
It's not as crazy. I would say like if you're learning it from scratch and nobody knows how to play and you're like one person's reading the rule books and you're all playing for the first time, it's going to seem a little complicated. But after the first game we played, like I was able to teach it to people much easier because I understood it. And it's not that complex. I think it's just that it's a little different. And I think the Euro game aspects of it are, if I recall, like very straightforward, like get resources, spend this to make buildings. Yeah. And then, but it's like, then you have these like hidden roles and you're doing this secret trading. Right. So So I want to play this more, but I want to play with people who know how to play it also.
I'm going to get to it. I will definitely prioritize that for the next year. I guess I have to get next year to get it played.
Yes. And then I got to play 1880 China, which I loved, although it took a long time to play. so far, I started a campaign of Undaunted Stalingrad. I think that's like really fantastic.
Yeah.
And I loved Great Western Trail Argentina.
I want to play Undaunted Stalingrad. I just don't know how I'm going to do it.
Oh yeah, I'll just
it's a 2-player.
I'll just have to come out to Dallas after I finish my campaign.
Yeah, if you want to come out
just play
and hang. if you were here, for sure we'd do it. But yeah, a little bit of a distance. And how was Great Western Trail Argentina?
Oh, Great Western Trail Argentina was awesome. It again, I love Great Western Trail, the base game. And to me, if you like Great Western Trail, this is a different take on it, but it still feels Great Western Trail. But you have to kind of do the loop. You're still doing the rondelle loop. But there are like a lot of twists and like differences that you can't play it exactly the same way. It's really good. And now, of course, New Zealand, Great Western Trail New Zealand came out at Gen Con, and that is really, really great too.
I saw a picture of that from a upcoming potential thing that we do, which I'm not going to spoil, but if you know BGG stuff, you would know where it will be. And that looked intense. That board looks amazing.
It is. It's beautiful. It's kind of a beast to set up. But New Zealand does a lot of really interesting stuff with the deck building, because you have these like 10 different sets of cards, and every game you're going to randomly pick like 4 of them to play. And those are different cards you might be building in your deck. Then there's this like discovery track you can go up, and sheep. One of the sheep is named Lincoln also.
Yes, I remember that picture. I think you posted that on Slack.
Anyway, but before we start talking about Spiel 2023 releases we're excited for, I'd love to hear about what you've been playing lately, Aldie. So let's jump into fresh plays.
Yeah, fresh plays. So let's see. I've not been playing that much. Unfortunately, we've got COVID in the group again. Not me this time. Someone else. So we've had to cancel for a few weeks. Now, we did get the games from Gen Con that were in the hot games room. Thank you for packing them up. we were unboxing them, and we put them all on shelves and all that stuff, getting ready for BGG Con. And I caught the one that caught my eye, and I grabbed it off the shelf, and there was only one copy, so I think it was a hard one to get, was World Wonders from Arcane Wonders. I'm not sure who the designer is. Actually, let me look that up real quick.
Sure.
I want to give them the props, because I really, really liked it. And we played it, and we basically cold read the rules. No one taught us. Z Mendez.
Okay.
Or Zay. I'm not sure if it's Z or Zay. Probably Z. And I think have they designed another game before? Yes, Brazil.
Oh, last year.
Brazil Imperial, and a game called Footboard, which I don't know, but Brazil Imperial I have heard of, and that's quite highly ranked on BGG.
Yeah.
But World Wonders was a buying tiles game and then putting them on your tableau, and then buying buildings, or sorry, not buildings. You have the buildings first, and then you get the wonders. So you're trying to build the buildings that the wonders need to support the wonder.
Gotcha.
So if you're building, let's say Machu Picchu, it's one of the wonders, you have to have a certain number of farms, and that Machu Picchu needs to be next to those farms. So it has like sort of a tile adjacency requirement, and it's a grid. So you can't build in the middle of nowhere. You have to have everything connected by roads. So you have this little tricky thing of like, okay, I need a road this turn, and then I need a building. I need that building, and the buildings all wipe away at the end of the round. So it's quite tense, and you have 7 gold to spend, money. And the kind of interesting rule that I thought was cool was if you buy a wonder, you spend all your remaining money.
Oh.
So either if you buy the wonder like as your first action, you spend your whole money and you're done. Like that's it.
Wow.
You can take a loan, but loans are not fun because you have to pay them back, and they're negative points at the end of the game. But so you have this interesting timing thing where you're trying to build it goes around in a there's a turn order thing. You can also buy turn order.
Okay.
Which is, spending money to get in front of people, which lets you get the good buildings first, and then lets you get the good wonder. So you have this like interesting jockeying position. And And it's really a fast game. I think we finished it in an hour.
Oh, cool.
That's with the rules read from the rule book, like super quick. And it looks amazing. And I think it's going to do well. That's my gut instinct. I think people will enjoy it. Now, assuming they get enough copies out into the world.
Right.
Because I wrote to the Arcane Wonders and asked for, I said, can you please send me as many copies as you want to for BGG Con?
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have to be on my own to try to get more copies.
Gotcha.
So I think I'm going to have to try to get a few more at Essen, but I think it will be popular.
World
That's
Wonders.
my gut instinct.
Okay.
So, yeah, World Wonder.
Oh, World Wonder. Yeah.
And it's World Wonders plural.
Okay.
Not it's just World Wonders. Like straight. Yeah. It's a little like, is it the World of Wonders or World of One? No, it's just World Wonders. And they look great. They're all wooden buildings, not plastic or anything. It's just wood and it's painted wood and they looked good and they look cool. And there's like 15 or something wonders in the game. Like it's a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds
cool game.
Sounds cool. Last night, I ended up playing Star Trek Discovery Black Alert for the first time.
Black Alert.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know that.
I don't think many people know about this. It is a 2023 release from WizKids. They were demoing it at Gen Con, and it's the designer is studio, Lynn Vander Studios. So it's Dylan Bertolo, Josh Dirksen, Peter Bemis, Thomas M. Gofton make up Lynn Vander Studios, who designed this game. And it plays with 2 to 4 players. And this is a team-based game based on Star Trek Discovery, the show. I guess it's a TV series. I'm not familiar with Star Trek that well. But when I was at Gen Con, I was meeting with Will, and the board looked really cool. There were people playing a demo game. And I found out it was a team game, too. So I was like, oh, I really want to try this because I'd played like Guards of Atlantis earlier this year, and I really liked that. And I don't know, I enjoy team games. So especially when there's something beyond just being like a card game or something like that, you know?
And are you playing individual characters?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, at Gen Con, Will ended up sending me home with a copy, and I set it up. And I, again, not knowing much about the TV show, I was like, I think I want to be the red team, which are the bad guys, I guess, the Terrans. But yeah, it's 2 to 4 players, and the
Terrans are bad.
The Starfleet is the
Klingons.
blue team. Well, not in Discovery.
Oh, I see.
I don't know if you've seen.
Okay,
Discovery.
yeah, I don't know the lore.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because I played with Paul and Tom from Game Brain and Matt, and I was the only one who didn't know the show. Like Matt has seen some episodes. The other 2 knew the whole thing, and from their take on everything, it seems like it's a very good thematic integration.
It's also a mirror. It says it's a mirror universe too, which is everything's reversed.
Yeah.
So the Terrans are the bad guys.
Right, exactly. So one team is the Starfleet team, and your ship as the Starfleet team is the USS Discovery, and then the Terran team is the red team, and your ship is the ISS Charon. Charon. Yeah. And yeah.
Or Charon. I don't even know how. Yeah.
Charon.
Isn't that like a moon?
People who are listening right now who watch the show are probably they're laughing. But each player gets a character. So you asked if we each have a character. You get a character for your team. And I think they have about 5 or 6 different characters you can choose from. And each character has their own special ability that's a once per game ability. And then each team has their own command deck of cards that, both players will draw from. And the goal of the Starfleet team is to basically return home. They have this spore drive network technology, and they're just trying to get home, find their way home. So what that means in the game is that team needs to complete 3 missions. So on the board for this game, there are 6 different spaces that could be missions. And at the beginning of the game, you'll shuffle and draw 3 mission cards. And so there will be 3 locations, 3 hexes that have a space on them that are like where you need to get for this mission. And the mission will tell you what you need to do. Like usually it's like spend a resource or two, and then you have to also play a certain value of cards while you're at this location. Okay. And on your ship, whatever location is associated with that mission, that location on the ship, like that room, cannot be damaged, because you need to like go to like the cargo bay, and like first you need to fly to the debris area or whatever. That's the like location. Get the ship there. Make sure you have the resources. And then you go to the cargo bay, and if the cargo bay is not damaged,
so sort of thematic missions,
yeah,
like
exactly.
Rescue the.
So that's.
Yeah. I mean, I can Star Trek tropes. Yeah,
exactly. So that's basically their goal. So and then the other side, the Terrans are trying to kind of like interfere with that, and then their goal is to successfully play these three infiltrate cards. There are a bunch of different infiltrate cards in the command deck of the Terran team. So I found it to be, as a Terran player, rookie Terran player, I found it to be kind of hard because we have to basically get our ship, the Charon, onto the same tile as the Discovery. Then we need to get one of our characters aboard that ship. And then we need to play the infiltrate card from one room. And one of the like really cool things about this game is certain actions, including all of the infiltrate cards, you have to do a challenge before you can, I can't just hop on the ship and say, hey, we're taking over, Yeah, exactly. So you have to do this challenge where you're bidding cards. And basically, if I'm like, let's say I'm the person playing the infiltrate card and I was able to get onto the Discovery, I'm in the weapons room, and I'm saying I'm going to take over the challenge, or I'm going to take over this weapons room, but we have to do a challenge. So me as the initiator, I get to play up to 3 cards face down. And all these command cards have a value of like 0 to 3, I think. Maybe, no. Maybe like 0 to 5. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, we are secretly bidding cards. Now, if the player on the Discovery team was in that room, they could play any number of cards. But if they're not, and they're on that ship, they'll be able to play 1 card to kind of defend. Then we reveal those cards and total them up. And then you're going to do a blind draw, a bonus card draw off the top of both of our decks to kind of like modify it a little bit. And you're going to see who wins. So if I'm able to have a higher number, like the Terran team, then we successfully infiltrated, and we get to put that card in one of our 3 infiltrate slots. If we can do that 3 times, we win. If they complete 3 missions, they win. Now, you also have these corruption tiles on the board. Well, let me tell you about the board for a second. The board has these hex tiles, and one of the cool things that I saw at Gen Con that also made me excited to try it is that it has these paths that kind of looks like Spaghetti Junction, like these like loops and everything. Yeah. But one of the things they can do, the Discovery team, because both these teams play asymmetrically, which is cool, but they can rotate tiles. So if they're trying to like get to a certain location, they have to follow the paths of this like network. So they can rotate
those
tiles.
By chance?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Well, Star Trek.
But then the Terran team, when we move our ship, we just move from tile to tile. And then the Terran player also has these like fleet tokens that are out on the board. So we have 3 ships, they have the 1 ship, and we kind of move differently. And then on the board, there are these corruption tiles. So there are 4 of them that start on the board. And as the game progresses, depending on what player or what cards we're playing, corruption tokens might come out onto the board. If at any point we place either team places the 8th corruption token from the track, that means we like the whole network collapsed and we all lose the game.
Oh, so it's semi-cooperative.
Sort of. Like you have your own goals, and the other way the game can end without like everybody losing is if you damage the other person's ship. So if the Discovery, let's say, ended up with 4 rooms damaged, they automatically lose. So you also have to like watch out for different things that are damaging your ship.
Okay.
But we got to a point where the Starfleet team had completed 1 mission, all of a sudden that corruption started popping off, and we were like, oh my goodness, like, is this game going to end with the corruption situation?
Right.
On the edge of our seats.
I guess that's interesting. Yeah, it's one of those games that if you're going to lose, do you just make it so everybody loses?
Exactly.
Like
exactly. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, but I definitely was thinking they were ahead of us. So I was not going to be mad if the whole network collapsed.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things in a semi-co-op game. If you're going to lose, you just take everybody down.
Yeah. But it was really cool. And I think, I'm not even a Star Trek fan, but I really like it. I can't wait to play again now that we have that like initial game under our belts. Like the other thing that I'll call out about this game is the production is really nice. Like it comes with, nice. Both sides have player aids, these nice player aids that summarize what you do on your turn. And it has all of the locations on the Charon ship and the Discovery. Because, like, if I, as a Terran player, make it onto their ship, I have my own set of actions that I can do on their ship. And they have different actions that they do on their ship.
How long did it take to play?
I think it took us, like, close to 2 hours, but we were really slow. People were reading cards.
No, it was first time.
Exactly. We were all first time, but I think it would be like an hour and a half game. Like it might even end sooner if the corruption kind of gets out of control.
Yeah.
It kind of would depend, but yeah, everything's really nice. They have like these nice, chunky resources and everything. And, it's very straightforward. So now a lot of the excitement is in the card play. Like, these challenges, and like on your turn, besides like activating a location on the ship, you can, which by the way can be enhanced. Every action location space has you could spend a certain resource and do a cooler effect with that action. But you also have free actions, and one of the free actions is to play a command card. So you'll have a hand of 3 command cards. And these are cool because this is like my partner, Paul, was able to like send me onto the Discovery ship with a command card. And that was cool because then I'm like, okay, now I'm on their ship, even though our ships aren't on the same tile. I made it onto their ship and now I can try to infiltrate,
Do you know, could you tell from the other players that if they felt like the Starfleet side was just as fun to play? Because it sounds like being a Terran is kind of fun. Like you get to do kind of fun, nasty things, and but they like their side. Okay.
I think everybody liked it. Although I will say everybody wanted to be 3 out of 4 of us wanted to be Terrans.
Right. Like you want to be the disruptors.
Right.
I would want to be that too.
Yeah, but the Discovery team, I felt like it was hard to be the Terrans, but we could have also just been not playing optimally because we were new to it. Because we were we were trying to like fly our fleet tokens into their ship, because then they have to draw one of these threat cards, and some bad stuff happens. And I think we needed to focus harder on the on infiltrating, which we were trying to do, but like I think it might be a little bit harder.
Now on my radar, I'm gonna have to try to get this played as a group. I don't even know if anybody in our group watches Star Trek Discovery.
It's still fun though. Yeah,
it's got Star Trek isms in it. Like it's got phasers and shields and all that stuff. And
even if it was just a generic space game, like I think you would enjoy it. Yeah. Like I think this
Star Trek though is nice, like with the characters. And stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and I could already see like some of the really cool card play stuff you can do, because basically if you get rid of your cards, like there are things that are going to force you to get rid of cards, like then you're not going to have cards available to bid when challenges happen. So there's like this whole like hand management thing. But I don't know. I'm really excited to play it more. So yeah, so that is
that sounds pretty cool.
Star Trek Discovery Black Alert, and I think it dropped in September. Like I don't know that it was like an Essen release. I think it was at Gen Con, but I don't think it was for sale. I think they were just demoing.
Yeah, I hadn't heard much, and there's really not a ton on BGG right now, so I think it's still really new.
Yeah, it might
like
just
there's 3
be coming
posts.
out.
That's like not a lot.
Yeah. So
one of the questions is, will this be available at Essen? Like that's the one. That's one of the 3 posts.
Hopefully. I mean, I feel like they told me it would be out in September, so hopefully it'll be at
Okay, so it's
Essen.
probably up.
But I'm again, I'm excited to play it again. We enjoyed it, and I don't even know Star Trek. So what else have you been playing?
Do you want to know Star Trek? I recommend the Next Generation.
Okay, I do.
That's many hours of greatness. Start from the beginning, even though the beginning sucks. You will appreciate. I mean, you might even just be able to start at season 2, honestly.
Okay,
and then maybe if you feel like go back to season 1, but season 2, it's just so good.
Okay, maybe
it's my favorite.
Maybe I'll see if I can download it on my iPad for the plane or something.
If you get into it,
I am curious because I did for Christmas, not last year but the year before, had Matt buy me like all of Star Trek Ascendancy. I was like, oh, I can't wait to play this game, and I kind of wanted to get into it because watching Battlestar Galactica made me probably love that game even more.
Right?
So
well, there's some good stuff in Star Trek for sure.
Okay. That's why I hear. That's why I hear. So next
now
generation.
there's enough. There's an equal number of rabid fan people that love DS9.
Oh, Deep Space
Nine, which is the space station story, which I don't know much about, honestly. I stopped watching I watched a little bit of the DS9, and then I just Next Gen is really just perfect for me. I love it all.
Okay,
but
all right. Well, here
DS9 is also equally as good. I've just not watched it.
Okay, I'll take a survey. So you're saying Next Gen will.
I'm gonna vote for Next Gen.
Cool, but I do want to check it out.
There were some great moments in there. Anyway,
what else?
Getting distracted here with Star Trek.
What else have you been playing lately?
What else have I been playing? Only one other game, unfortunately, in the past couple weeks. It was the Unlock. I'm making sure I'm saying it right. Unlock. Because I get them confused sometimes. It was the I don't remember the
Sherlock Holmes
box it's in, but it was basically a Sherlock Holmes one.
Okay, was it cool?
And if you know Unlock, it's a escape room type thing where you have 100. This one was 90 minutes, so I feel it was on the higher end of difficulty to go through it all. All themed Sherlock Holmes, and they did some interesting things. I don't know if they've done it before, but maybe they have done it. You build a map and then you can go to different locations on the map. That's sort of in the newer realm of unlocks. I really liked it. It's a murder mystery. You're solving murder, but you're not Sherlock Holmes. You're playing with, in typical Sherlock Holmes fashion of the games of Sherlock Holmes, you never play as Sherlock Holmes. You are competing. Sherlock Holmes is already ahead of you. He's already figured it out. And he's waiting for you at the police station to catch up. That's the story. And when he's like, oh yeah, I figured that out. Whatever. It took you that long? That's the gist of those. But I thought it was good. Cool. There was only a couple weird, maybe we had to take a few hints, oh my gosh, I can't believe it was that. It was and maybe not so obvious. It felt a little bit, sometimes they're a little bit of a stretch, but it was good. I mean, I like them all. I don't think I've had ever a bad unlock. But that's the Sherlock Holmes one. I don't know which box it's in. They all have they have different names for each one, and I'll see if I can quickly grab it. It was from 2022, I think.
I've actually only played the Star Wars unlock before.
Oh, the Star Wars one? Yeah, the Star Wars ones are good. I like all of those. Maybe I'll find it by the time you get your fresh plays finished.
All right. Well, my second fresh play, apparently I've been playing a lot of space games with corruption lately, but my second fresh play is Voidfall, which is the new,
oh my goodness,
big 4X style heavy Euro from Mind Clash Games, designed by Nigel Buckle and David Terzi. I guess technically this is an Essen 2023 release, but I backed in on Kickstarter, and I happen to be one of the lucky few of my friends locally who were excited for it that actually got my copy first. So I gathered a couple people for a 4-player game that night, and it is a beast, I will say. It took 2 hours to take it, punch it, right? and kind of get set up for that first game. But like basically we played a 4-player game Friday night. And at some point, I don't remember if it was Friday or Thursday, but my friend Jordan he's also on the Game Brain podcast. He was very, very hyped for Voidfall. And so I knew, like, I was like, I'm going to definitely have Jordan over. And plus he was down to teach. So I was like, great. But he wanted to do a Game Brain episode and talk about like initial impressions of it. So he coordinated a game the next morning with me, Ben, and Jordan. So within 24 hours, I played it twice. And and then right after that, we recorded an episode for Game Brain podcast together. And so I would encourage people to go there for more thoughts on it, but I'll just kind of quickly go over a few highlights. But again, this is a big 4X style heavy Euro game, big box. It's one of the, I guess, unique aspects of the game is that it comes with like a book of all these different scenarios. And these scenarios have different map setups and different event cards. And like with the map setups, we're talking about hexes, like a hex map you'll set up. But also you'll be placing these like NPC ships out there called the Voidborn. And then you have different factions you'll play with different setups. And all the factions are like very unique and really, really interesting. And they have like different play styles, like some
it's all asymmetric.
Yeah, exactly. Very asymmetric. Some of them will be like specializing in economic, and some of them specialize in military. Some of them were like more flexible, and they have different like complexity ratings and everything. But you'll pick a scenario based on the scenario, everybody will pick a faction. One of the things I thought was cool about it too, when you're picking a scenario, you can kind of decide if you want to play like what the complexity level is versus the aggression level or the aggressive level. Like, do you want more of a peaceful game?
So you can have like a peaceful game, or you could have more competition.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Ian O'Toole did the art and graphic design for this game, and it looks great. Like, there are a million icons you're going to need to get used to when you play it, but I would say just expect to have that first game just be a learning game. Your mind might be melted a little bit, but as someone who played it with a second time 24 hours later, it was so much smoother the second time just having played that first game. And I think that just speaks to the awesome graphic design, because like there are a lot of icons, but like once you start learning them, they're very intuitive. So it's like I'm super impressed by that. Also, again, the map is made up of these big hex tiles. Like they might be the largest hex tiles I've seen, and they all have like really cool art on them. And each hex will have a die on it that represents the population of people like living in that area. Some of them will have these little like plastic like fire tokens around the die, like under the die, and that represents corruption. Corruption can be on your player board too. It's something you kind of have to manage in the game. You'll be like moving around. You'll be trying to get rid of it. Certain things will add more corruption. So again, we're dealing with corruption in this game, but you basically play like 3 cycles or game rounds, and each round you're going to flip an event card. You're going to resolve some part of that event card, and that event card is going to tell you how many action cards you can play. So this game, like your actions in this game, which is like the meat and potatoes, are driven by cards. And you'll have, I forget if it's 8 or 9 cards, but you have an amount of cards that each have like 3 different potential actions on them. And one of the cool things with the asymmetry of the factions is every player color has a set of standard action cards. But then when you figure out what faction you are, they're going to swap out maybe 1 or 2 of those cards, and you get like faction specific versions of those cards, or like something different maybe. So that's really cool. And then on your...
Is it one of those games where you play the card and then at some point you take all the cards back in your hand?
No.
Like the Concordia style?
No, it's not Concordia style. So basically, like, let's say event card number 1 says we're going to play 5 cards. So it's my turn. I pick 1 of my cards. I play it. I pick 2 actions I want to do on that card. If I have a trade token, I could spend it to perform all 3 of the actions on the card. Then next player goes, plays 1 card. then I play a different card. So that card's on the table. Okay. You can't play the same card multiple times, but you get them all back at the beginning of every round just automatically.
Right. Got it.
So yeah, so the choices with the hand management is really cool, and the card play. And then another like big aspect of this game is you have these agendas. So you start the game with one agenda based on whichever faction you're playing, and then you can get more of them throughout the game. And this is a big part of your scoring engine, which is kind of neat because you're kind of creating how your faction scores.
Okay.
So they could be something like having a certain amount of things on different sectors you control. It could be like having resources, all sorts of different things, but you're trying to get more and more of these so that, because they score at the end of all 3 rounds, like any agendas you have.
Right.
And like, I guess just to say like what you're doing on your turn, like some of these actions, everybody's player board, you have these big player boards. You have 3 different tracks. I do not remember what they represent, but you have 3 different tracks that you can advance on. So one of the actions is like, you know, you can advance on blah, blah, blah track, blue track, pink track, whatever. But one of the cool things with the asymmetry is you slide your player board in. And let me say first, I have the Galactic edition of this game, which has like dual layered, triple layered, you know, boards and everything. Yeah, I don't know if that's like the retail version, but my version, I slide my player board in and everybody's faction has their own like different things on these tracks, which is really cool. Like maybe at the top of my track, I get 24 points, but your track maybe has better things as you move up it. You know, they're all different.
Right.
But anyway, you're advancing on these tracks. You can attack the Void Burn, the NPCs or other players. And one of the hot selling points of this game is that the combat is deterministic. There are no dice. Like it's a little procedure you follow. Like, oh, if you have this defense, that'll shoot first. Then you shoot, and then you can get all these techs. So you can have technologies to like.
Sounds a bit like Advanced Civilization.
Ah, interesting.
Did you ever play?
I've never played Advanced Civ, but yeah, you get techs, and you can like, so you're giving yourself all these special abilities. You can produce resources. You're building guilds, which are helping increase your production, and depending on the population on the sector is how much you're producing of whatever that guild is. And then you could build more ships, and again, you can attack each other. But it's very like heavy Euro gamey, like kind of economic almost. I enjoyed it, and I especially I enjoyed it more the second time for a couple reasons, because obviously I'm more familiar with it, so it wasn't like as taxing on my brain. But also, I found, and I don't know if everybody agreed, but I found downtime to be a little bit of a problem for me. Like I would play a card and like 60% of the time I would immediately know what card I wanted to play next. And then especially in the 4-player game, it's like someone would play and it's like you're triggering action number 1, triggering action number 2.
It's a multi-action. Yeah, it's a multi-action.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if I like that.
It felt kind of
trend in Euro games. I like atomic quick.
Those quick actions.
That makes the game faster.
Yeah.
But when you have a multi-action card, that definitely, I can see it slowing down. Especially if you get to pick 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Like, well, which 2 am I going to do?
And some of them are thinky. Some of them are thinky. So even if you know, like when it comes to your turn, even if you know exactly what card you're going to do and exactly which 2 actions to execute them, you know, it takes time. And again, this could all be like, we're new players, you know, maybe 5 games down the line, like we can speed this up. So that's just like a very initial hot take that like that was a little annoying for me because I typically play faster. Yeah. And I'm ready to go and I'm just sitting there. And I felt like, again, this could be a new player thing. I was rarely paying attention to what other players were doing.
Other people are, well, it's a big universe.
Yeah, exactly. Like people,
you're all the way over there. Like, I don't care what you do. Like, I feel like that's a common theme. And now I think in modern Euro game, like, giant worlds and
we were kind of
basically sort of playing your own game, unless you
too.
You sort of slowly move towards each other.
That's what seemed to happen. But then there's no victory point track. So and I get it. Like there's so many components for this game.
You can't tell who's winning.
Yeah, we all have these dials that we're keeping track of our points. So it's,
Right.
aside from when we score at the end of every round, I'm not really keeping an eye on like, hey, Jordan has 30 more points than everybody else. Maybe we should try to stop that, but again, this is like, we're noobs, this is a heavy game.
Yeah,
we're not going to like get everything initially, but overall I thought it was like cool. I liked it more the second day with 3 less players and also having, understanding how things worked more. I'm very curious to see how the co-op mode is for this game.
Oh, I didn't know there was co-op mode.
There's solo.
That would be my jam.
Yeah, the solo and co-op, because I'm curious about that. So I definitely want to try that.
Well, there's a copy in the BGD library, and I have to say it was punched by a nice couple that came and helped us with the BGD library setup for BGG Con, and they took 4 hours to punch it.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge.
Big game.
It's huge. But the cool thing that I love about like what Mindclash does with these big boxes is they always include like instructions that are like, here's what goes in this bin, here's what goes in here, here's how you stack them in the box. Like that is all so helpful. But anyways, if anyone's interested in more thoughts on Voidfall, check out that Game Brain episode too. And I'm sure, I think
it's got a lot of content on BGG already. It's 150 photos.
Yeah,
I was looking through the photos. It looks great.
It's really cool.
I mean, it really does.
I'll have to send you some pictures of because the 4-player game barely fit on my table, and I can fit 6-player TI4 on my table, so it's big.
Okay.
I also want to try it with 2 players too, because that might be like really cool.
Are you into the co-op stuff at all, or do you?
Yeah,
or you just
I love co-op.
Play the co-op? Yeah, let me know how it goes and see if
I will, because I have
play in my brain and see if I would play as me. It just sounded. But I mean, I really want to play it because I love the look of it. It looks so cool.
Yeah, and like we can put it on the list for BGG Con too. I can teach it, so
potentially. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Voidfall. That's Voidfall. Those are Voidfall and Star Trek Discovery Black Alert, my 2 space games with corruption. And now a word from our sponsor. It's game night season. Imagine gathering around a table for endless challenges and dreams. Are you seeking a strategy game that's both accessible and addictive? Look no further. Introducing Spellbook by Space Cowboys, a game with endless possibilities. Become rival wizards in the annual Grand Rite. Your mission? Be the most powerful by mastering spells and nurturing your magic skills. With over 2,000 spell combinations, each game is a unique, exciting challenge. A free app even lets you create and share combos before you play. And get this, Spellbook has a solo mode to sharpen your skills. Ready for the magic? Head to your friendly local game store and dive into Spellbook. A season of unforgettable game nights awaits. All right, let's talk about our Spiel 23 releases.
Yes. More
games. So, Aldie.
Yes.
I know we both have some honorable mentions, which we'll throw in at the end. But what is the number 5 game on your list that you're looking forward to?
Starting with the number 5. Okay. I think I've ordered these correctly. I didn't make them in order, so I want to look. Let me rearrange this for one thing. I'm gonna flip number 5 and number 4.
Ooh, spicy.
And honestly, they're both, these are all the same excitement for me. But my number 5 is Perspectives from Matthew Dunstan and David Neal. Cooperative, deduction, murder mystery are the categories that it's been placed in, mechanics. And it is one of those games where you hold the piece of information for a murder or whatever the crime is. I think the first one, it comes with 3 scenarios in the box. So it's like, I guess it's a limited replay. You play it, you play each scenario one time. And it's one of those cross-reference things. Like I'll have the photograph of something and you'll have the report. And maybe another person over here will have a clue. And then you sort of have to communicate. You can't just show the cards, right? Because if you just show everything, I think you sort of break the game. Right. Like these games work that. I think I don't think this is unique in that kind of way. Like I've seen this game before. And I'm drawing a blank on the names of them, but we have played those type of games. But is a limited communication, murder mystery, deduction. You basically have to solve it. So I'm really interested in it. I mean, the art looks cool.
Sounds cool.
It looks like a great game that it's low. It looks like low impact, like not going to be like that hard. Like you jump right in. The rules are going to be simple. Solve it. It's got Vincent Dutrait artwork and an artist named Ann and Seb and Lookie. I don't know those artists.
Okay, we know Vincent Dutrait.
Well, that's the name. So, and it's a Space Cowboys published game. And it basically says, let's see what it says on time. 60 to 90 minutes. So one scenario could probably take an hour and a half, which is cool. Like, one of the cases is set in India. It's a museum theft. Second case is in California, rock music and poison. I guess it's a murder, or maybe someone's poisoning somebody. I don't know. It's called The Dregs. And the third one is from Buena Vista with Love. Case 3, South America, gangs and murders. And that's it. There's not a lot of descriptions on these, and there's not a lot of pictures. But I am very interested.
That sounds cool. And I've been like loving these limited communication games, and I like the idea of like, hey, we all know something, but we can't talk about what we know, but we just have to kind of still work together to figure it out.
Yeah, you have to piece it together.
That's cool.
Yeah. I like that.
Perspectives.
Yeah. That's number 5. Perspectives.
Cool.
Space Cowboys. And it is for sale. I don't know how much the price. I don't know if I don't have the prices on anything, but you can look it up on the BGG preview, which is where we got all this
every single one of our games are on the BGG preview. Love that. Love that. So my number 5 is Wizard's Cup. So this is Wizard's Cup. Have you heard of it?
Okay. No, I think here's the thing. There's 777 standalone games. I filtered it out only for sale.
Help with this. So my friends from the Trick Talkers podcast, Ryan and Patrick, and Taylor Reiner from Taylor's Trick Taking Table, they always know a bunch of deep cut trick taking games that are imports. So I was like, hey, what should I look out for when I'm at Essen? And one of them mentioned Wizard's Cup to me as it's Seiji Kanai, who's the designer of Love Letter, and it's from Jelly Jelly Games. It's a 2-player game. Yep. And the idea is there is this magical dueling tournament that is held once every century called the Wizard's Cup. And, you are selecting as the king of the country or the queen of the country, whatever. You're going to select 6 of the best wizards from your kingdom, and you're going to decide what order to put them in. And then it's out of your hands. They are competing. So this is another auto battler a la Challengers. Okay, but you're building a deck of 6 cards, familiar. Putting them in order, and then they're going to battle against your opponent. 2-player game, plays in 15 to 30 minutes. I don't know. I'm curious. It sounds like it's going to be just cool, something small to.
You pick the order.
Yeah, you pick the order, and then you're probably anticipating what your opponent might decide to do. Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a nice, small game. Break it out, when you're waiting for your food to come in at dinner.
There's not a lot of artwork.
There's nothing. There's not much at all.
I was hoping some cards would be put up there, but
I know. I'm like, how many cards are included? I don't know. All I know is you're building a deck of 6 cards.
Yeah, because you only pick 6 cards. I mean, if there's 100 cards, that would be awesome, right? 6 out of or how does it work?
I know, me too. Yeah, I have no idea. There's not much info on it, but
I'll report back.
I will report back. Yeah, so that is Wizard's Cup. What's your number 4?
Okay. Number 4 is the Cathedral of Orléans. You know this one?
Yeah,
Orléans, right? That's a Reiner Stockhausen game. This is also designed with Wolfgang Dierscheri, I think that's how you say it, and Marcus Mühle. And it is a co-op version of. It's not a version of Orléans, but it's in the Orléans world universe. And it's a bag drawing game, but there's 2 bags, and you have to sort of. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not exactly sure how it works because game's not in my hand. But you have 2 bags, and you have to decide which one you want to draw to get what you need.
Oh, interesting.
And then you also have to. I don't love memory, but it says you do have to remember where something gets put. So I guess there is a sort of memory
gotcha.
aspect to it, which is kind of interesting. And you're building this 3-dimensional cathedral.
Cool.
So that looks cool. And it's got all the same, it's got all that cast characters like the knight, the monk, scholar, trader, crafts, the same
Orleans. Yeah.
Orleans people.
Cool.
And I'm just like, yeah, sure. I mean, I like Orleans pretty well. Like, it's pretty awesome. So hopefully this will be as equally as awesome. And there's a board, but co-op too. So I'm just like, yeah, that's got me. Got me all over.
Is it a co-op game or does it have a co-op mode? Yeah. Okay,
it is a cooperative game. Yeah, 100%. I don't see any aspect of it being competitive. Yep, it says we take actions cooperatively, and we are divided between the pouches are divided. So you always says which pouch do you draw from, and you have to remember which bag they go into at the end of the round. So I guess and then it says divide your duties between one another in order to work out your strategy as effectively as possible.
Interesting.
So
I saw this one, and it's not on my list, but I'd definitely be interested in playing it. I like Orleans quite a bit.
I kind of try to split my list with cooperative and some competitive, because I think cooperative ones get overlooked a little bit sometimes at Essen because they're usually not the top.
Yeah.
But
so Orléans Cathedral?
Cathedral of Orléans. Or Orleans, the Cathedral of Orleans, as we say in America.
The next game on my list is actually 2 games because it's an accidental twofer. And it's an accident because I picked one game and then I looked up the designers to see what else they worked on. And I discovered they had another game that they're both coming out. And I'm like interested in both of them. So I did a combo here.
A duo?
A twofer. Yeah,
twofer?
Accidental twofer here. So the game that I initially picked was 1902 Méliès. And this is designed by Eloy Pujadas, who is a designer based in Barcelona and designed Shikoku in 2018, which I've never played. And then Ferran Renalius from Manresa, Catalonia. Ferran is one of the designers of Lacrimosa and also of 1998 ISS, which I demoed last year at Looping Games, and I bought it, and I never ended up playing a full game. But now I'm like, I got to revisit.
We sell those in the BGG store, by the way.
Yeah. That's
all the
awesome.
Looping games. Yeah, we sell all those.
Yeah, the Looping games are great because they come in, like, they're games, and they come in these small boxes.
A little tiny shoebox. Not even a shoebox, like half a quarter of a shoebox.
Tiny. But
the pack a punch.
Yeah, exactly. They for the size of the box, like they're like solid, kind of like medium weight games usually. You know,
I see what this is now. Okay. Go ahead and say it. I want to take your.
So 1902 Méliès is from Looping Games that make again all these small box games. It plays with 2 to 4 players, and basically in 1902, George Méliès filmed the first like sci-fi movie, A Trip to the Moon. So in this game, we are playing as his assistant directors, and we have to assemble sets and get special effects together, direct actors, shoot scenes, splice them, and hand paint the color to like make the sequences to help create the first sci-fi film, A Trip to the Moon. And
right. That's with the capsule is in the moon's eye.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the famous scenes that they show a lot. The moon poked in the eye with the rocket
exactly.
ship. Yeah.
And the only reason I actually know that, I'll tell you a funny story. There's a French like electronic music duo called Air. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Okay. So Air had an album. It was their 6th album, and it's called Les Voyages dans la Lune, and it's A Trip to the Moon. Okay. So basically,
translation of A Trip to the Moon.
When they like digitally like color restored A Trip to the Moon, Air made a soundtrack for it, and I actually have the limited edition version of this where they included a DVD where you could watch the movie with the music the soundtrack. Yeah.
Soundtrack.
So the only reason I even know about like this like a little bit of history about this movie is because of this Air album that I discovered, years ago, and I really liked it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So when I saw there was a game about recreating that movie, I was like, cool. This is awesome. And again, it's looping games, so it's a small box. So that one is on my list. But then I discovered that both of these designers also designed the Battle of Versailles, which is a new Essen release from Salt and Pepper Games, 2 players. And basically the Battle of Versailles was a fashion show back in 1973 in France that pitted 5 American designers against 5 French designers. So in this 2-player game, you're going to take on the role of either the France or the US team, and you're going to be facing off by playing action cards to show off your best dresses and attract the most popular celebrities. And you can also annoy the opponent by spreading bad gossip. So one of the things I read in the description of this game that sounds cool, besides I love this theme, is that the French player has 5 actions per round to represent their show was really long that they put on, where the American player only has 3 actions because their show is fresh, innovative, and short historically. So they represent that by the amount of actions you can take per round. But anyway, yeah. So this one sounds neat too, and I remember.
That sounds great.
I remember seeing a designer diary about this.
The cover, I think the cover is quite interesting too. It's it evokes these fashion designers.
Yeah.
Their different looks.
Yeah, the art looks really cool. But I remember seeing the designer diary posted and just assuming it was a war game because it's I just saw the title. I'm the Battle of Versailles. But it is a fashion show war game. There you go.
Fashion show war game. Yeah, very cool. Is that the same? That's not a
that's Salt and Pepper Games. Yeah, Salt and Pepper Games. So yeah, I'm excited about both of them.
That looks some interesting stuff for sure.
And it's funny too because Ferran Renelius last year, I discovered that designer as one of the designers of Lacrimosa, which I was really excited about last year, and then I discovered that he also designed 1998 ISS. So it seems like he's always got these double headers at Essen, which is pretty cool. Okay. Anyways, what's your next game?
Very cool. Actually, he designed a game that was on my didn't make the cut list called Take a Seat.
Oh, interesting.
Curious now. Maybe I have to go back and look at that. All right. But anyway, my number 3. We're up to 3 already. Okay. This one came out at Gen Con, so it's not so new, but I did not see it. And but I definitely was interested in it from the get-go. It is The Fox Experiment.
Oh, cool.
From Elizabeth Hargrave and Jeff Fraser. Published by Pandasaurus, I think.
I think so, yep.
Yeah, Pandasaurus Games. So a bit of a go to Germany to get the US games. But it is a quite interesting theme. Did you know that in 1958... there was a experiment of foxes to be domesticated?
What? No.
And it's continuing to this day. And so from a group of foxes, they selected the ones that reacted to humans more curiously and with less aggression. And then they breeded those. And they kept doing that and over generations to make domesticated foxes that I did not know. This apparently still is on to this day. And I guess foxes were domesticated thousands of years ago. I need to dig into the history a little more, which I had never heard
me neither.
of. I think they're called silver foxes or something like that. But they as they started breeding these foxes, they developed floppy ears, curly tails, and spots. I'm guessing that's part of what was part about the game. But you are basically breeding foxes to make them domesticated over 5 generations. And it sort of has it's a dice rolling game. I'm not exactly sure of the mechanics, but there is a dice rolling mechanism and you're basically making genes. And then you have a pair of foxes to start and then you're breeding foxes, beget foxes, right? So, and then you get to name them. So you get to write your fox name on the board. And it looks like it's got a little bit of a chunk to it. I mean, it's not super simple. And I think it's about an hour to an hour and a half of time. And it's not a roll and write. I think it's not categorized as a roll and write, but people were describing it as roll and write, but I think it's a roll and record. So you roll the dice and then you record what you roll.
Gotcha.
Instead of you checking things off. And it sort of has like this very cool like traits and scoring points, of course, right? Because points are
I love
fun.
the theme.
But I thought the theme was so cool. And, you know, it's Elizabeth Hargrave, who's pretty great awesome. Game designer. And
I never knew that about like this fox breeding situation. So I love when games like
I did not know
help
either.
you learn about
fox
new stuff.
Yeah. Apparently it's still happening today. It's to this day.
Wow.
Of breeding foxes to make them domesticated. Again, which they were domesticated thousands of years ago, which I'm actually now very curious to know how they were domesticated. But history.
Cool.
History experiment. Or have to dig into that a little bit. Anyway, fox
experiment. Looking forward to trying that one too. So now we're getting into some heavier stuff on my list.
Right.
Knew it was coming. Everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So my number 3 pick is Nucleum, which is
oh boy, that is a heavy game.
Yeah, which is a new one from Simone Luciani and David Terzi, published by Board and Dice for 1 to 4 players. This is basically a heavy Euro game where we're going to take on the role of industrialists trying to succeed during the economic and technological boom of 19th century Saxony. And it's fueled by the invention and spread of Nucleum, which is this nuclear reactor.
Yes.
And I actually played Nucleum earlier this year at a private gaming event. David Terzi taught me the game. And ever since then, I've been very excited to play this game. I was like, this is going to be a big Spiel release. Yeah.
It's a big one.
Like these two partnering up, like I like both of them as game designers a lot. I like what they do. And I've actually played this. I don't remember exactly how everything works. But you're basically earning victory points. You know, that it's a victory point game. You want to have the most points you're going to be developing networks and building and then powering different urban buildings and fulfilling contracts. And also like there are going to be milestones, like randomized end game goals that you play with. And when I played it, my initial thoughts, because I actually looked back to see what I noted down. It has brass, barrage, and even a little bit of Imperial Steam DNA to it. It does not, it does not feel like any of them, but I think that people who like those games will dig this. The other cool thing that I liked about it from that initial game was that it has this like Concordia style action selection. So instead of cards like in Concordia, you have these action tiles that you can get, and you're going to be buying new ones throughout the game. But the action tiles are also track tiles, so you could either like play one of them, like you're like have a hand of these action tiles. You could either play one to take the action that's on it. They might have 2 actions on them, some of them, or you can play it onto the board to start building out a network. And so then. Like we were talking about earlier, like with the Voidfall cards, in this game, it is like Concordia, where at some point you need to say, I'm picking up my tiles that I've played. And when you do that, if I recall, that like triggers some scoring. So one of the things you're doing throughout the game too is you're collecting these stars. I don't remember exactly what gives you these stars, but I remember the stars when you like do this part where you're like doing your cleanup turn or whatever. It felt like almost like Great Western Trail scoring, where you're like trying to you're placing your discs along the train track, but you can only have one of your discs on each stack in most of the cases. So when you're scoring your stars, there are these like bands on this track, and if you already have one of your discs on that band, you can either go higher if you have enough, or you have to put it lower. And I think there's a space where you can always dump as many of your pieces as you want. But that kind of reminded me of Great Western Trail. And yeah, I just remember liking it a lot. It was a beast.
When did you play it?
At the Gathering.
I remember. I think I remember that.
It was a beast to set up, but it looks gorgeous. I had people who played it with me that first game. They ended up playing it again a second time the next day, and they were saying, similar to what I just said about Voidfall, how it was like much easier to grok the second time.
A bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve.
I think Steph and Michael just played it on their live stream the other night.
Oh, cool. I didn't see it.
I was checking in and out with it, like I was doing some other stuff, so I could see them doing it. But it looked like kind of a lot.
It's definitely a lot. Like I don't know if it's something you're gonna want to really check out.
Yeah. It may not be in my wheelhouse, but yeah, I think I would like to see it. I would like to examine.
Yeah, and one of the things I liked was like when David was teaching it to me, he's just like, yeah, you know how you only can do X, Y, Z in brass? He was like, it's the opposite in this game. You know how this thing works in Barrage? It's the opposite in this game, Right. So it's like, again, It has some DNA from those games, but it's like a little bit different. Like I remember where you place your tracks is very like kind of flexible and like a little bit looser. Like if I start a track over in this one area, I don't have to keep building off of that. I can then start something somewhere else. And then there's all these perks of connecting to other people and putting the same color together. There was a lot of like cool stuff. So I'm very excited to kind of dig into this more and actually get the finished version of it. Okay. That's Nucleum. Orléans.
It's not Nucleum, right?
No.
Nucleum.
Yeah.
All right. I meant to say the Fox experiment, Fox Meeples.
Oh,
just saying.
Leveled up in my head. I just leveled up even more.
Yep,
That's
totally
cool.
leveled up. Okay. Number 2, Comet. Just the word Comet. With 2 to 4 players, 75 minutes, which I love that number. And Peter Prinz is the designer. Peter Prinz, if you don't know, is the designer of Thebes. Do you know Thebes?
No.
That digging. Oh my gosh, you got to play Thebes.
I feel like I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a bit OG. It's a bit old school. And I think the original copy of Thebes, there was only 100 copies made, and I tried so hard to get it, and I finally got one. And then a Queen reprints it, and it's gorgeous and it's amazing. So if you've never played Thebes, and I think it's, oh gosh, I don't know if it's called Thebes anymore. I think it had like a different name for in
gotcha.
English. But the original game was Thebes. Oh, it's still Thebes. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check out Thebes.
Was it 2007? Yeah. Anyway, Peter Prinz, the designer, and I don't think he's designed much since then. Now, he probably has. It just hasn't been on my radar. Yeah, it's been a long time since he's designed anything that is in I would call in the gamer realm. But the Comet, so aside from being Peter Prinz, which baseline, I would say 75% is him, 25% is the theme. Comet is coming and going to destroy the Earth or wipe out all living animals on the Earth. You are trying to save certain species of animal. That's the goal. And it's got it. There's not a lot. Everything I've seen on BGG is all foreign language. Like someone has some foreign language comments, which I don't translate those. I just don't bother with it. But you're basically controlling and hatching animals. Now, the animals are very like fantasy based. There's I almost said dragons. It's dinosaurs and like kind of, like it's basically all the extinct animals. However, there are also, and I look at this art, and I've looked at this art a lot. If you bring up a picture of it on someone as you're watching, you can see the cover, and it's got a saber-tooth tiger and like 2 dinosaurs, like velociraptor type things, and pterodactyls, and so it's basically like that era. But there's these little rats that are riding on the backs of all of the animals. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
You have to look close. They're very tiny little rats, and they're like laughing, and they have like little things. I'm like, what is this game?
I have not seen this one.
I know. I'm like, what? How did this come about? Okay, so there's not a lot of information. It's very generic in its description.
Yeah.
But it caught my eye. I looked at it. I'm like, yep. Okay. Well, that's going to go on the list. And it basically is a multi-card use game.
Love that.
Which is fun. Like multi-card uses are always great. Unfortunately, there's no pictures with any English on them, so I don't know what the cards do. There's a map, and I can see that there's like red spots on the map, which I assume that's where the comets will land. So or asteroids will land. So it's kind of cool. I mean, purely this is designer.
I haven't seen this one.
He's not been around in a long time. Yeah, and if I'm Peter Prince, if you've made a game since Thebes that I should know about, let me know.
BGG.
Write me at Aldie at BoardGameGeek.com, or if anybody has played a Peter Prince game since Thebes. But I don't think there is very many.
I did not even see this one on the.
I mean, there's some games. How do you see them all?
And also, when you were talking about it before I looked it up, I was not quite picturing this, like this kind of hex board with different terrain.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, the cover is Hendrik Nowak.
Yeah, and the cover.
And it's published by Funtails, who did Glenmore 2. And Feed the Kraken. And
I'll try to demo this and see.
But I think, give it a demo and let me know. Like, hey, let me know if I'm picking wild or if it's. I mean, honestly, it's really mostly the designer that I picked about.
Interesting.
Because I just love Thebes so much.
Yeah, I'll be on the lookout.
Yeah, please. Let me know.
Cool. Okay. My number 2, you might know about because I was very excited about this game after I went to Gen Con. And it is Kutná Hora, the City of Silver. This is a new CGE game designed by Andrei Bistron, Peter Kaslava, and Pavel Jarosz. I don't know if I pronounced any of their names right. Apologies. But this is a...
Are they all Czech designers?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a historical, like real historically based city building Euro game for 2 to 4 players. And it has this like real life supply and demand experience where basically every action you take has an impact on the economy. And one of the things that was just striking to me, this was also, I think they had this at the gathering, and the box, the box, I remember like hearing that there was some game, but for whatever reason, the box didn't initially grab me that I was like, ooh, I got to like check this out.
The black box, the giant silver disc.
Yeah, it for whatever reason.
It grabbed me. I thought it was interesting because I'm like, what is that?
I don't know if somebody just said, oh, it's a city building game. And I was like, okay, whatever.
You don't get that from the cover for sure.
Yeah. But then when I saw it, I had a meeting with Nathan at CGE and at Gen Con, and they had it all set up on the table. And I'm actually looking at a picture that I took right now. But the main game board has like, first of all, the color scheme is very like kind of monochromatic, where the board is split into 2 halves, and one half has all like grayish colored artwork. And
you're mining.
Yeah,
right?
and then the bottom, you're underground, so the bottom part is black, and you're going to be placing these different tiles on the board. But I love the colors they chose to for the tiles, because the colors just like pop in a really, really interesting way. But I came out of that hearing about this game and like seeing this supply and demand system, and it also has like action cards that you play, I think. But I came out of it like feeling similar to the way I felt coming out of hearing about Deal with the Devil at Gen Con the previous year. Like, ooh, like this sounds really, really interesting. Yeah. It's definitely going to be on the heavier side. I don't know how heavy, but like medium plus for sure, probably because of all the economics. But I am just so intrigued to like try this out. It sounds really cool. It looks really cool. And then also everybody has like, I think there's like an asymmetrical way that you play. Like, I don't know if the player boards are asymmetrical. There's something asymmetrical about it, which I'm always all about. But yeah, you're basically trying to mine ore and make it into silver, I think. And
I think it's based on a real town that was
it's
built up around the silver mine or something.
Yeah. And I think you're also like working towards the construction of Santa Barbara's cathedral. But it just like the supply and demand stuff like had me sold, and just like the look of this game. So I'm just very
if the market is clever, that can be fun in the game.
Really unique. Looking, at least. I haven't played it, but I'm very excited to play Kutná Hora, the City of Silver.
It's definitely one of my must plays for sure.
Cool. Yeah, that is something like, I'm going to try to make time, going to these conventions. It's hard to find time to actually play games because you're networking and meetings and running around.
It's talking a lot and seeing games, not really playing.
But this is something like I will probably.
It's the balance of a media person in the board game world.
Exactly. But this is like I will definitely load up some rule books on my iPad for the 9-hour flight and probably try to learn some of these games.
You're gonna cram?
Yeah, cram rules so I could try some of these.
You
games.
don't watch movies?
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna be watching Star Trek Next Generation.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch. Oh, yeah. Well, don't watch the Star Trek movie.
Watch the show.
The shows are way better.
I'll do a combination of reading rules and when I'm tired of that, I'll watch something.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for that one too, for sure.
I'll report back when I play it.
Okay, are we on number 1?
We're on number 1.
Evenfall is my number 1.
Evenfall.
Have you heard of Evenfall? It is I don't know if it came out at Gen Con. It's DLP Games.
Okay.
Which is basically Rainer Stockhausen's company. So I guess I sort of have 2 Rainer Stockhausen games. The Cathedral. This is not designed by Rainer Stockhausen.
No.
It's designed by Stefano De Silvio. And it is about witches.
Ooh.
And I feel like that's an underutilized theme.
Yeah.
Witches. And it's got witch meeple. So witch meeples, that's my first.
Cool.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, those witch meeples are awesome because they're painted witch meeples too. Painted wood is always good. And this is a heavy game. Like, apparently it's not as simple. Like, I watched the Man vs. Meeple preview to sort of see. I didn't want to completely spoil it for myself, but I watched a good amount of their review. And they said it's a 3-round game, and they played the first round, and they're like, "Is this game's going to be over quickly?" And then they went to round 2, and they're like, "Oh no,
it builds up
quickly." So it's one of those games that builds up. And he said the curve. He said it was one of the higher curves that they've seen, which may be a little bit of a negative on it for me, but hopefully it'll be great. If it's quick playing, I don't mind a long game. I really don't. But it is a card game, and the cards are look way cool. I love the artwork on it. Martin Motet is the artist who did Revive and The Magnificent.
Oh wow, yeah.
So there's some games, and it just struck me, and it's you're building a tableau. So, and everybody's witches are different. Like, you have asymmetric witch factions, of course. And based on what I saw from the Man vs. Meeple preview, one of the guys did like one strategy and the other guy did a completely different strategy. And if you just looked at the cards, you could see it. Like, you could night and day, you could see they're so different. And they just okay, that's really cool. Like, if it's not just one way to win.
Yeah.
That always triggers.
Wow. This is
like a nice little interesting, feeling. The games that don't always play the same, and there's different strategies to explore.
Ooh.
But I don't know exactly the mechanics.
It says card-driven engine building. I love all of that.
Yeah, it's very multi-use cards. It's got chaining too, which is an interesting thing. Like, chaining is when you have pieces that do things across the board. They chain from one to another. If that's basically what it says. The pieces don't move, but when you chain them together, they start giving abilities.
Oh.
I think that's it, but it's a little hard to do from like a complete preview without a playthrough.
This sounds cool.
But I love the theme. Like, it's very cool. Like that, and I think it's witches and warlocks, if I'm not mistaken. But
we're starting to see more games with witches because like Mind Clash has Septima coming out.
Septima is coming out. I just got my shipping notice for that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think if I did or not.
Yeah, I think it's Kickstarter.
Yeah. I backed that as well. And I have a few friends who have played it in, TTS or something, and they love it. And so I'm very excited about that.
Okay. So it's so weird how board games come in waves of themes, right? Like, it's all animals now, and then witches now is coming. And there's
and there's also Witchcraft, I think it's called, which is that like solo game, Salt and Pepper games. David Thompson, Trevor Benjamin, and
that's a redo of Resist,
right?
Yeah,
but again,
and I almost put that on my list, but I'm like, it's a re-implementation. I'll just go to a different witch game.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. No, this is cool. I did not even see this, but I'm very, very like this is now on my definitely go check out list.
There's so many. There's a lot coming. I think my gut feeling was nothing was so super standout, but there was going to be a lot of good stuff.
Cool. Evenfall. All right, that. I'm very excited to hear more about that and try that one. Okay, you ready for my number one?
Yes, please.
My number one game that I'm most excited about. I think I'm most excited. It's kind of hard within.
It's hard. Yeah, I mean, you have to pick something.
But I think it is my number one that I'm most excited about is Evacuation, the new Vladimir Suhi game from Delicious Games, 1 to 4 players. Yeah, this game. So in the past 2 years, I don't think we've seen a design that he's done on his own. Like he co-designed Messina 1347. He co-designed the one with the splitting the dice, Woodcraft. Okay. And I never actually got the chance to play Woodcraft. I played Messina a couple times, but I love underwater cities. And so I'm just always curious. And I also know, Shipyard 2nd Edition, definitely want to get that too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've only played Shipyard once, but I really liked it. Yeah. So I'm excited that, that's back in print. And I'm, so that's on my list too. But this game, Evacuation, sounds like really interesting. The idea is we're on this planet and the sunlight has gotten to be too intense, and you have to kind of move everybody off of one planet and on to a new one. Okay. And at the beginning of the game, you start with like a fully functioning economy in your home planet, right? But then you have to basically break it down and move everybody to the other planet. And there are different resources and everything. So you can't just run your economy the same way you did on the first planet. So I don't know. I just looked at this board, read the description.
I see the board. It's like a snake.
Yeah.
The snake between the two planets. That's really neat looking. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so curious to see how it plays out. But basically, you have different resources on the new planet. So you have to kind of rebuild your economy. But I think there's a whole transition thing of hey, you don't just all of a sudden everything is on the new planet and you've left. There's a transition thing where you're breaking down your working economy.
There's an instant win rule as well.
Oh, really?
It says if you raise production of 3 resources to level 8 and you have 3 virtual reality machines on the new planet, you win. Otherwise, you go to scoring after 4 rounds. So there's an instant
cool.
win.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
I almost always go for that. Yeah. If games have that option, I'm going for that. Instant win.
They also, and then Delicious Games, I think, will also has a little mini expansion for underwater cities that I want to get. I think it's just 10 new cards or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, Evacuation, I'm super stoked about. I also think maybe I put it number 1 because I know the least about it. Because I'm excited about Nucleum, but I've played it. I'm excited about Kutná Hora, but I saw it. I heard a little more about it. But this one is very foreign to me, but just sounds and looks super interesting. So,
that's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. So that's another one that I'll probably read the rules for should I get the opportunity to play it one evening while I'm in Germany. So did you have any honorable mentions?
I did. I had a couple honorable mentions.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want to say yours first, or you want me to do mine? Or
no. I want to hear yours first.
Okay. I have 3.
Okay.
You mean just one by one? I'll just do them all.
Fire them off.
Well, the first one was Trio, which is a remake of Nana. And if you know Nana, I love Nana. I'm curious to check out. I taught you Nana. I suspect I will always love Nana because the artwork is so cute. Which is, I describe Nana as Gamer Go Fish to people who haven't heard about it. If you can find a copy, buy it. It's a must.
So fun.
Buy it. It's so quick. It's quick and fun, and like honestly, like one of my favorite games of the year. Like it's in that list for sure.
That's cool.
Just because it's so simple and fun, and sometimes you just need fun games like that.
Yeah, totally.
And I describe it as gamer Go Fish, and I'll leave it at that. So if you know how Go Fish works, you know how to play. The second game I'm looking forward to is For the Win ? FTW, which is a Freedom and Friesa game, and it's a trick-taking game. And it says you play all your cards except one card with the highest number, and then you score. So you get your score plus, I think it's score plus your highest card minus anything left in your. I don't know. It's a little confusing on the description of how it scores, but basically, it's Freedom and Friesa. It's a trick-taking game.
Awesome.
Play it, and it's FTW ? I said For the Win, but it also says. The description says is on March 14th, which is Pi Day, 1337, which is a keyword for leet, right? Leet speak.
Okay.
1337. It's the perfect moment to play For the Win. So I'm guessing there's some kind of little bit of fun there. It says For the Win has easy rules, but it offers a very tricky game experience. So that's an honorable mention for sure.
Nice.
And then I think you talked about this on the Board Game Geek show with Lincoln, Freaky Frogs from Outaspace.
Yeah,
which is a solo game pinball simulator. And I got to play that with Friedemann. And I think he misremembered it. Friedemann taught me and showed me how to play it. And he was speeding me through it, but I felt like it was a little like, I really wanted to dig into it a little bit more and think. I was just trying to get through the game, right? Just kind of like play it, and letting him help me get through it. But it's a pinball simulation, and it does all the things in pinball. There's multi-balls and lane switches and combos and all that stuff. So it's really bumpers.
Is it driven by cards, or how does
it is a single player card game? Yeah, it's a deck. It's a deck.
That's cool. I'm very curious about that.
And you're basically trying to keep the ball alive as long as you can until you run out of flippers.
Cool.
Yep. It was only one player. So yeah.
Those are your honorable mentions?
That's my honorable mentions. Yeah.
Okay. I forget the name of the game that Eric mentioned on the last September BGG show episode, but it was an abstract strategy game. Triad, maybe?
Triad,
like that.
Might be. That is from Clemens France?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, so that's on your list?
It is. It's not on my list, but it is on my list because I didn't type it in here. But I thought about it. I was like, ooh, I love abstract strategy games. And that sounded like really neat. So I'm throwing that as an honorable mention. But so Voidfall would have been on my list if, I hadn't already backed it and received it. The White Castle from De Vere, and it's by
definitely caught my eye too.
Yeah, the designers of the Red Cathedral. I liked the Red Cathedral a lot. It's like when I played it, I was like, oh, this is so cool. You can play this game in like hour and a half. Interesting choices like with the area control and the dice, resource manipulation, everything. But ultimately, I kind of just grew not like, I don't know. Like I would play it anytime, but I wasn't in love with it. So that's part of the reason I'm like, I'll try White Castle, and but I just don't know if it's going to be like, ooh, I can't wait to play this more. But I'm definitely curious about it because I liked the Red Cathedral. Then there's one I think I discovered from the preview list, and it's Expedition to 5X. It's David Brain as the designer from Fractal Juegos. And this is basically like a card-driven simultaneous action selection kind of filler game. Basically, everybody picks a card. We all have the same hand of action cards. Everybody picks one. You flip them over simultaneously. And depending on which card you picked and how many people maybe also play that card or did not play that card, you get something or you get to do something. Like you're getting water to get these like different
the artwork on that one looks really cool.
Yeah, you're getting these desert cards to kind of build a tableau for scoring. And it's also kind of, I think, giving you special, like enhancing some of your actions as you build this tableau. And the scoring is just, you're trying to get, I think they're like gems. And the only way a gem is going to score in your tableau is if it's surrounded by a laurel. So you have to connect certain cards and you're trying to synergize getting the same type of gem as many as you can, because the more you have, like set collection style, you get more points. It seemed cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I like the artwork. Is really nice. I like it a lot.
Z and Dice Tower had a video on it, and I watched, and I was like, oh, that seems fun. So that's Expedition to 5X. Then I also had Havalandi. It's a new Reiner Knizia game that is from Edition Spielwise and Pegasus Spiel. And it's you're launching hot air balloons, and you're trying to get them in groups for scoring. I looked at the rulebook just for a split second.
I saw the cover of that. It's so great.
Yeah, nice. It looks really cool. And I like the hot air balloon theme, but like I think you roll a die on your turn and you move this airship, and then you're able to place your balloons in a certain place, like in the line of sight of that airship, but you're trying to like get your balloons grouped together for scoring or something. And it's Reiner Knizia, so hot air balloons, cool. Sounds interesting. I want to try it.
45 to 60 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. And then the last two on my list, one is, I mentioned it on the BGG show, but Cyberion, which is a new Shoddy Torby game from Impatience. I think it's probably designed solo, but you can play it with 2 players. It's a hand management game where you're using robot cards and you're trying to repair machines. And your cards can either like repair or you trigger special effects or something. I just always love the art on all those games. I think I might have them all.
Is it in the Oniverse?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It is in the Oniverse. Cyberion, Cyber. Yeah, Cyberion, ION.
Okay, I see it.
So the production on these games are always awesome. Sometimes I feel like I have a few that I haven't played. I played a Nerum a bit, but I just love all these games. Even if I haven't played them all, I love the production of them. I will play them all eventually. And then the last
there's
one
a lot of game in there. It's like there's 10 versions.
They'll have like modules and stuff and like little mini expansions.
And, their depth is more than what they appear.
Yes. Yeah. No, very small box too. And then the last one I had on my list is Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard, which is a cooperative trick-taking game, 2 players. And it's a standalone spin-off of Jekyll versus Hyde, which was a 2-player competitive trick-taking game.
Yeah, that's a good game.
But this new version is a cooperative 2-player trick-taking game. Seems cool. I actually need to still play Jekyll versus Hyde. I've never played that one.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I played on BGA.
Yeah, so this is like a new version of that. I'm also
versus Scotland Yard. Okay. Is it the same designers or different?
I think it's the same designers. I don't know, though. Don't quote me on that.
By the way, a correction for our Gerhards. It's Gerhards or Clemens Gerhards, not Clemens Franz.
Oh, for the
and it's
Triad
a different
game?
Yeah, is it Flugerrad? Does that sound right? Flugelrad. I think there's only one game on 2023, but anyway, just wanted to make sure we got that right.
I don't even see. Oh, I see. It doesn't have. No, I don't even see it. Well, anyway, watch the BGG show and see what
watch the BGG
Eric's
show. Get the real name.
About.
Another game.
I'm excited about that too.
All those Clemens, I keep saying Clemens Franz. Clemens Gerhard's games are really nice. They're wooden.
Yeah.
Very solid wood and nicely finished.
Yep, it seems cool. But yeah, that's awesome. I think of all your games you mentioned, I'm most excited about Evenfall.
Evenfall looks really good to me.
Because I didn't even know about that one. And card-driven engine building. Oh, I love that. And witches.
And witches. And meeples. Witch meeples.
Yeah, witch meeples. I love that.
Now, this designer is virtually unknown. I mean, no linked games on BGG anyway, so always fun to see new designers.
Yeah.
Stefano De Silvio.
Demo it and check it out. But Aldie, thanks for being down to do this with me again, and I'm already looking forward to doing it again next year.
I know. Hopefully the year won't go by so quickly, but
right,
probably will. But thanks anyway. Thanks to you too, Candice, for taking the reins of the podcast and making it what it is. It's really great.
Yeah, I love doing it. Yeah, and a big thanks to everyone out there for listening. If you see me or anyone else from the BGG team at Spiel, please say hi. We love talking to people in the community. And
I won't be there, but Candice will be there.
Yeah. But you can send messages to Aldie through me.
You can send relay some messages.
Yeah. And then I think Beth posted on BGG with the last store update that she'll have a limited supply of some treats with her. So if you see her, you can ask for a goodie. It might be a promo.
If you find
something.
Beth, ask for a freebie.
Yeah,
or whatever.
freebie.
I don't know what
we don't know what the
she's
freebie's going to be.
out.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks again.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to the Board Game Geek podcast, produced and edited by Candice Harris. Special thanks to Matt Ponder for editing and mixing our music. Be sure to visit us on the web at BoardGameGeek.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch under Board Game Geek. You can reach us by email at podcast@BoardGameGeek.com.